Okay, we're moving on to the Public Works and Productive Services Committee meeting. Are there any additions or amendments to the agenda? If not, do I have an approval for the agenda? Moved by Councillor Donaldson, seconded by Councillor Gray. All in favour? Right, public participation.
Hello everyone, I'm Anderson, I'm the President of the Metchosin Producers Association, and our farmers market runs every Sunday from May to the end of October with a Christmas market in December. I read in the agenda package this evening that MACCA is proposing a market at the old Metchosin School parking lot on Sunday, August the 13th from 10 till 4. We fully support all the community events our farmers market does, but we suggest that the group can choose an alternative date so it's not in direct competition with the farmers market. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else?
Beth Bacon, Metchosin resident. I've submitted this so you have it, you've memorized it, but I'd like to read it for the benefit of anybody else. If it twigs something where they think they agree with it, they disagree with it. It's my point of view on how we can make our roads safer and at the same time do something positive for the climate action. And I'm calling it Everybody Walk and Roll. And this is about reducing traffic speed, both for safety and for our climate action plan. And I was twigged to write this when I see that Saanich, Victoria, and Esquimalt are all moving towards reducing the speed limit. And I thought, if we don't do it in a rural area, they're just going to whip through us the way they are. And I appreciate that we've reduced the speed limit towards the village core, and we have a speed limit around our schools, which is really great. But we still have traffic cutting through and going really fast on Kangaroo, Lindholm, Paris Road, Metchosin Road. And it's written out that this is really good for motorbikes because they can go fast. People test their hot cars here. And people cut through from Souk and East Souk because they can zip through. And I think we could make ourselves safer and do something that's relatively easy and unobtrusive to our climate action plan if we would reduce our speed even more in more areas. And what we have to protect us is a sign entering Metchosin with teeny tiny pictures of some of the vulnerable road users. And I don't think I could tell you everything that's on that sign, but I don't think it changes driver behavior. That's not enough, and not from my observation. And we're just taking our chances out there if we're riding our bike, riding our horse, walking, pushing a baby carriage, or in our time maybe riding in our motorized handicapped scooters. We're all at risk there. And what have we got to protect us is a white line. And apparently this cars are going to stay on their side of the white line, but that doesn't make me feel any safer. And we've missed a lot of opportunities to do roadside trails, and it's not this council's fault. This council, and actually the council before, has really made good strides. And under Councillor Mayor Little's guidance, we've made some, and Councillor App, we've made some advances in roadside trails. And it was sort of looking like maybe we could do a roadside trail every year. But I'm asking if could we accelerate that? And of course I want you to find the money in not resurfacing our roads and giving us some potholes that will slow the traffic down. And enforcement. Now that we're paying more for police, could we have some enforcement, please? And I think the council could insist on that. I haven't seen enforcement for speed here in the 23 years I've been here, so I hope that will change. And And so the district does wonderful examples of roadside trails. I love Lombard, Kangaroo, Rocky Point, and Pears. And I just think that we should not be, and I bring to your attention that 30% of us are over 65, and we don't need to get anywhere in a hurry, and we don't need to get anywhere very often, and we prefer to get wherever we're going safer. So I think this is the easiest way to make a difference in our vehicle emissions, and I just really wish I had the science to tell you, but I'm sure somebody does, or maybe I can access it, about how much we're going to save in greenhouse gases if the vehicles slow down. But I know it's significant, and maybe the Saanich and the Esquimalt and Victoria have that information ready at hand because they're making the decisions to go that way. While I'm on the topic of traffic safety, I'd like to point out, and as Councillor has informed us too, that Kangaroo Road, where it comes off on Highway 14, is a death trap. That you're taking your life in your hands if you're going along Kangaroo and you want to turn towards Souk. You just, hold your breath and gun it because you can't really see the traffic's going so fast. Now, and that's not our responsibility, but we could ask to have something done about that. But what is our responsibility is, and that's our highest place for accidents. That's where most of the crashes take place. The second most prevalent place for our crashes to take place is Lindholm at Happy Valley. And that is our responsibility. So maybe we can do something about that. And the other, where I want you to be proactive, and I mentioned this before, is with the Beckingham subdivision that's coming up. Potentially, if they're successful in getting 40 lots, and you can have a secondary dwelling on every property, there could be 40 families, and maybe 2 or 3 cars for each family, and all the coming and going. Get yourself onto Beckingham and try and turn onto Kangaroo Road. Or get yourself onto Kangaroo Road and try and turn onto Beckingham. It's scary. You can't see what's coming over the hill. It's a bad intersection, and part and parcel of allowing 40 more families to live there should be making that corner safe. And thank you for considering my ideas.
Thank you. All right, anyone else, or we'll move along? All right, on my update, so I just wanted to continue what Councillor Schicken mentioned about it being Volunteer Week. There's a little plaque on the wall at the Firehall. I noticed the other day, and it really hit home, and it says, more or less, it says, volunteering is the ultimate exercise in democracy. So you vote in elections every few years, but when you volunteer, you vote every day about the kind of community that you want to live in. And I thought it was just great because Metchosin really is a volunteer-run community. I can't imagine where we'd be without all the volunteers that just do so much work. So thank you to all of them. So other than that, I find my update here.
Item 4.
What did I do?
Adoption of minutes.
Right, okay, sorry. Always something. Can I have a motion to adopt the minutes of the public service?
So
Okay, thanks. On March 13th. Okay, moved by Councillor Schicken, seconded by Councillor Donaldson. All in favor? All right, now we can move on. All right, so in road safety, just continuing with Bev's comments, is we are, it is in the report here that we have 2 new radar speed signs coming, and they're going to put bases on the busy roads, so they'll be moved around from place to place. So hopefully that will be a help for that. We do have in the budget coming up, there is money for a roads consultant, and I'm thinking once that person is in place that we can go around the community and kind of target places where we might change the speed limits in the future. I'd like to see some of them lower as well. Public Works are busy as always, and the school, I won't go over all of these things, but one thing is with the cell phone towers, last month, we met with Rogers because I had spoken to various different representatives over the last term and this year about it and never really gotten anywhere. So actually we were able to get a meeting with some of them, and it sounded pretty positive. I was going to recommend that we write a letter and detailing some of the problems, which is no service, inability to call it during emergencies, the spotty cell surface affecting first responders' ability to use the mapping and the CAD systems, dropped calls, connecting to the US instead of Canada, roaming charges, and frustration for people working from home. They did ask that we send, even though we have sent letters in the past, that we do again because they really seem to need confirmation about that. Rogers said that they seem to have more money that they're willing to put into a cell phone tower, improved service this year than TELUS has. TELUS has cut back on quite a bit of their towers that they were planning. So at any rate, the mayor has asked that we defer doing the letter until we have a little more discussion about it. So moving on from there, we have a great staff report from Chief Dunlop on the Firehall renovations, and we do have funds coming for a feasibility study. It's been confirmed by CAO Ms. Tarnowski that we'll be able to take the funds for the feasibility study out of the community growth fund that's coming from the province. So it's not in the budget, but it will be happening. So I don't know if you had any more comment, Chief Dunlop, about all the information in here. There's a binder on the counter, right? Is it on the counter if anyone wants to look at these various studies that have been done so far? But this is a really comprehensive report, and we're going to be having lots of input coming up on that. So other than that, we'll just move on to some of our correspondence. So we had a couple of letters regarding the Firehall, one from Bill Cave and his thoughts on the replacement. He feels that that possibly we should do more long-term planning on a replacement, maybe just repair what is there and consider the carbon footprint of a new building. Mr. and Mrs. Greenslade from the other side, and they believe that we should move ahead with replacing the Firehall to have a safe place for our firefighters to operate in emergencies.
Councillor. So just a quick comment on the two letters. I think we decided that we're moving ahead with the feasibility study. We're not delaying it, and I think that for like the implication of that is we're moving ahead with. There's no delays and barriers artificially to moving ahead with looking at a new home.
Right.
So, yeah.
Right. Thanks.
Can I speak to that then? Do you call it my letter?
Sure. We don't normally do this, but
Well, I can't. I just thought that's why I'm here, just in case.
well, that's what we do have the public participation for that particular purpose, but
I misunderstood. I thought being thought it was on the agenda, I would be asked if I wanted to make any further comments another time. It looks like it's a done deal anyway. So.
well, no, there's going to be plenty of opportunity for public input on it. It certainly isn't going to be just an instant, this is going to be a long-term, going through all the processes that we need to go through.
You know where you're going to end up at. I mean, you're not going to spend $20,000-$30,000 and not go ahead and do it, I hope.
Well, it's,
that would be a bit surprising.
yeah. Anyway, I'm not going to read each letter completely, because if you read one, then you've got to read all of them. And certainly sometimes we get a lot of letters, a buffer zone, for example. And if we read through every letter that we had, we'd be here until tomorrow. So I really appreciate all the input that people put into sending letters and sending them, and we do read them for sure, and they are on the website or in the packages for the meetings, and everyone can read them. There they are. So we also have a letter from Nicky Nadeau from MACCA about the planned markets they've got, and that will be something that staff will we'll be looking into as far as approval for those dates, and hopefully working with, mentioning what you mentioned about the farmers market and possible conflicts coming up for that. And we've heard from Bev Bacon about the reduced speed limits. And there's also a message from...
Sorry. Just really quickly, I want to go back to the comments that Jackie made about the MACCA event and the Makers Market. And I'm just trying to think if there's the potential as we move along to recommend some guidelines for the groups. I mean, I don't think we're ever in control. We say you can't do that, but there might be some recommendations that we can make in the future. I don't know what they might look like, but just even keeping an eye on how things unfold this year in terms of conflicts with parking and congestion, it might be interesting to observe that with an eye of giving the groups guidelines as to when they hold their meetings and resolving conflicts. Any thoughts on that, Pete?
Well, I think once we have the management in place for the school and the grounds, which hopefully can extend, to all the grounds, or at least as far as a calendar, an online calendar where people can see what is going on at that time, and then deal with the staff who is managing that to sort that out. And there was a letter from Chris Vanderwater saying that MACCA, for the time being, is dropping plans for a stair lift to get to their upper level.
Councillor, could I make a suggestion that we invite Mr. Cade back? That's the second time that he's had a letter, this letter, and it's been received for information. I think he has some interesting points here. I think it's just really great for democracy if we invite people that they may not align with what we're thinking, but I think it would be great for the public to hear what he was talking about in terms of thinking outside the box.
Well, you're certainly welcome to come to public, and speak at public presentations. So
Okay.
To me, that would be, fine. I think just as Bev Bacon did regarding her letter.
I think he misunderstood the process. So if we could extend an invitation for the next meeting, that'd be great.
Well, I did mention it to him this time. I think there's going to be a lot of opportunity for public input once we get the feasibility study done. We're going to be having meetings and all kinds, but he's welcome to come to the next meeting and speak about his letter. With that, I'll just call a motion to adjourn.
Can I ask some questions about some things that were in your council's update, please?
Sure.
Okay. So the fire department has a new truck, and I came home from the conference this weekend because people asked me there, and they asked me out in the community about this big truck, and so I was looking for the Muse, because I remember it being on the front page, so I went to read the article, and there's just a picture. So in reading the monthly reports that are in the package from the fire chief, which was great, I love the fact that it was all bulleted. We've had it now for a month, and I would like, through the chair, to ask a question of the fire chief if I could.
Sure.
I would like to know if council could have an orientation of the fire truck and go on a ride along in the fire truck to see where this vehicle is able to take us.
You're here.
Absolutely.
Can you come to the mic, Fire Chief, just so it can be recorded with Ms. Hanson?
Good evening. Absolutely. Once we get it finally in service, we do have it in service right now, just not everything, not all the equipment is loaded up. We just want to kind of, work out some of the kinks in it first, make sure it's how we need it to flow. And then, now there's only 4 seats in it, so we're going to take turns. But maybe we'll do the council orientation of the fire department and EOC. We can share on that about them.
That would be a good plan. And can you give us an update of what's happening with the one that is out of service, the old number?
Right, so we're in the process of getting that up on some used fire engine marketplace. I gotta say though, it's pretty old, probably not gonna get a lot out of it. We have had a couple of local people that have said if nobody else buys it, they haven't given me a dollar value yet, but might consider doing that as well and then donating it back to like the school or something like that. So we're just investigating options at this point in time. I have been talking with the interim CAO about that as well.
Okay, thank you. And can you explain to me what swift water rescue technician training is?
Sure. It's just deep water training.
Okay.
So for taking our boat out onto Metchosin Lake or onto the shoreline for rescue, body recovery, that sort of thing. We've actually used the boat. We use that rescue team probably 4 to 5 times a year at least, and have done a lot of mutual aid with it as well.
Okay.
Yeah, we're one of the only agencies along the shoreline here that actually have that.
Didn't you go out and rescue a kayaker?
We've done that 3 times.
Three
Yes.
times,
Yeah. And we just used it. We had some young folks that got stuck on the island at Metchosin Lake and couldn't get back, so we went out there and brought them back safely. So yes, we've used it a few times.
Thank you, and thanks for your report. That was really well done.
And also on Facebook, you just announced that there's the West Shore Fire Expo.
Yes.
Now, is that here at Instinct or is it down at West Shore?
So there's 3 different really big events that are coming up. One is the West Shore Expo. It's an emergency preparedness. Sorry, I'm going to take away the expo word. It's emergency preparedness. That's what's on Facebook. And that is out at the Wanafika Rec Center, West Shore Parks and Recreation. I don't know what it's called now, out in Colwood. And that's all the local area departments and emergency programs. We've done it for years, where you have all the fire trucks that are out there and emergency programs, all that sort of thing, for between 11 and 3. And that's,
Okay.
I don't remember the date on that one.
It's, I think it was the 25th or something.
Maybe, yeah. And then next week, Tuesday and Wednesday, we have our Fire Expo here. We've been doing that for 24 years. And this will be the 24th year here, and we've moved it over to the school, just because now, oh look, we're bringing kids back to the school. Makes more sense than taking our fire department completely out of service. So this is it's 2 days. We bring in 1,000 grade 4 students over the course of 2 days and just teach them through stations fire safety initiatives. So the RCMP is involved, ICBC is involved, a lot of different School 62 fire departments, emergency program, Fire Smart, all that. So it'll be a really fun event. So we'll be using that space there. You'll see lots of kids, lots of buses, no cars, but lots of kids.
Okay.
That day.
Thank you.
And then we do have on the 29th, April 29th, we have Assistant Chief Cabin's funeral. That
Yes.
will line of duty death that we will be attending.
Yes.
So, and that'll be in May.
There is a march to that. Yes. Okay, thank you.
Any questions?
Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
And Councillor, one more question. MACCA has a recycle room, and I noticed that there's I don't know where this is, somewhere near a furnace room, and there's a bigger room and a smaller room, and there's something being moved.
I actually need to, forgot to mention that, but we're just gonna sort of waylay that one for now, because there's been some misinformation about that, so we gotta clarify exactly what's going on with that one room.
Oh, okay.
Their report, I just took what they were saying, but there is maybe not quite that way.
Okay, yeah, this council at one point was going to have a tour of all of our buildings, so hopefully that'll happen within the next month or something, so we have an understanding of what's there. That's one of our buildings.
Yes, hopefully.
I have a question too.
Okay.
Yeah, I had the question on, that's on page 8 of 84 of the agenda regarding the Woody Beach stairs. So the Woody Beach stairs were just redone, I think it was in 2021 or 2, and then they needed to repair it again. I wanted to ask through the chair to the CAO or the interim CAO, maybe we could have a report on that, why it was needed, the geotech monitoring, I hadn't heard about that, and then how much it cost, because I don't remember seeing it as a budget item. So could we have that?
Would that be okay?
I can do that.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I don't remember seeing anything about it either, so. All right, and there's one more thing.
There is a budget line item. I remember asking about what it was for, and it was $2,500. So now we know. But being that those stairs were replaced, I also would like to know what actually happened to the fair and the new stairs, so, yeah.
Yeah, we never got any information about exactly what they were doing, I don't think.
Right, okay, that'd be good to hear, thanks.
Anything more?
No, I just, but at $2,500, I don't know if that would even that would cover the cost of the geotech engineer, so
Yeah.
it'd be good to have that information going forward. Thanks.
Right. One thing that was interesting that came from the Seniors Association was this letter from William Head from the Community Connections group, they call themselves. And it was quite interesting we had all heard about the groups, the crews that will come and work on trails and so on. But this is a different group that actually, builds things. And it's quite neat. It said on the bottom, it said, what would you think about us making some things for the Metchosin community and or senior center? It would be things like picnic tables, benches, chairs. It can also be household things like spice racks, paper towel holders, etc. Some of the guys can get very creative here. Maybe we can take the idea to the board or even Metchosin Council. Something that's really interesting that might be, maybe if groups or community groups have any fundraising they may like to do, they might be wanting to be in contact with this Community Connections at William Head. They really, he said they have a lot of inmates here who love and are very passionate about giving back to the community. And as one of the leads of the program we have here called Community Connections. So anyway, this is a letter from a fellow named Hoff Christian, so might be something to keep in mind for the future. And that, are there any more questions from anyone on this report? Councillor Donaldson.
Another one, just for clarity's sake. So there's another pink piece of paper, well, the same one, I guess, but on the front page. For upcoming, there's a repair cafe. It says the CERC open house, but in another, I think it might have been your update where it said MACCA was doing repair cafe. So where's the actual location and who's actually in?
MACCA's doing it right by the school. There, it'll just be. I'm not sure exactly whether where they're setting up, but they're just going to have some tables and various people that will repair small appliances, sewing machines, and so on. And I think CERC will have they'll probably have coffee, or just people can wander in and have a look at the center.
Okay, so it's an open house on the same day as the repair. Okay, thanks.
That's it. All right, could I have a motion to adjourn, please?
So moved.
Moved by Councillor Shukin, seconded by Councillor Donaldson. All in favor?